What's good, family? Shout out to my doggy, Craig Bagshaw, for keeping them coins loyal on the Patreon at all times. 100%. So, we got some truly breaking news right now regarding your mans, Chris EUBANK Jr. and CONOR BENN. Now, this is the first leak that came through from the boss man, Michael Benson. He said he leaked Chris EUBANK Jr. versus CONOR BENN is reportedly being targeted for October 8th at the O2 Arena in London. It's claimed a deal between the pair at £156 catch weight is now close to completion. And then he put a link through to the Daily Star, who essentially broke the story. It goes on. CONOR BENN and Chris EUBANK Jr. are now targeting an October 8th date at the O2 in London for their clash. The sensational showdown between sons of two of British boxing's iconic figures is now close to completion, with the final details being ironed out before contracts are signed. The target date will fall 1 day short of the 29th anniversary of Nigel Benn's second clash with Chris EUBANK Sr., which took place on October 9th in 1993 at the Old Trafford. It is understood the two sons will meet at 11 stone 2 pound, which is a catch weight between light middleweight and middleweight. Ben, 25, has never fought above welterweight, while EUBANK Jr., 32, has never boxed below middleweight, so both fighters have to make a compromise. Ben's promoter, however, last week claimed the fight would be one of the biggest fights all time in Britain if it happened. He denied, however, a deal was close, but talks have taken place with EUBANK Jr.'s promoter, Calla Snifferland. The fight is expected to be on the DAZN pay-per-view. The financial aspect of the deal means the winner will pocket slightly more of the total purse, which could be as high as $7 million, depending on ticket sales and the pay-per-view buys. EUBANK Jr. had other options on the table. EUBANK Jr. had other bumps on the table, including the potential of another all-British affair with Liam Smith, if he stayed with Sky Sports, who he is under contract with. He is currently in Las Vegas, having been seen partying with PSG star Neymar in recent weeks, but will return to the UK as soon as contracts are signed for a press conference and to begin preparations for the fight. Now, you man can find the article yourself. As always happens, these cats waffle on for God knows how long. We'll end it there. I've already done way too much waffling on this story already, but listen, I can't lie to you. At this point in time, on my other channel, on YB USA, where we cover USA topics, I did a video about a week ago on CONOR BENN versus Keith Thurman. CONOR BENN, so far in his career, is on the up and up, I feel. Yeah? This fight for me is more of a Chris EUBANK Jr. fight. What do I mean by that? Chris EUBANK Jr.'s career at 32-year-old has been full of nothing. No substance. Any half-decent fight he was in, he lost. Yeah, that's the bottom line. Yeah, he was knocking around, fighting this guy, fighting that guy, fighting DeGale. Never meant nothing, did it? Fair play to the guy. The guy's really rich. Good for him. But CONOR BENN at 25, and how promising his career is looking. Guess what? People like Chris EUBANK Jr. and Billy Joe, they're always going to be desperate for a cash-out fight. And at 32, if I was in CONOR BENN's position, what's the rush? Like I said, Chris EUBANK, he stays in shape. He ain't going to be going nowhere 3 years from now. I mean, just think about it. What has Chris EUBANK done for the last 5 years? Nothing. That's the point. At 5 years from now, he'll still be there, knocking around, doing nothing. So why would you, at the peak of your career, take this kind of risk? And it's not a risk in terms of skill, it's a risk in terms of, I'm going to call it the Bivol risk. Yeah, going up in weight and just doing silly things that don't need to be done at this particular point in time. Same as Bomelo Alvarez. He had no business going up to 175. And yeah, my hands in the air, I was fangirling Canelo, but still, guess what? I wasn't on his management team. Because there's a reason your man the YB bet $100 on Bivol. It's one thing me cheerleading Canelo thinking he can go up to heavyweight. It's a whole different ball game if you told me there's Canelo's billion-dollar career on the line. I'd have said, listen, what's the point in that? No one knows Bivol, and you got a business to handle at 168. Stay where you are. Yeah? Anyway, that analogy applies to Conor Benn, same principle. Obviously, Chris Eubank isn't no Bivol, but still, the size gap's huge. Conor Benn is a 147-pound Donny on the up and up. Yeah? Why would you take... That's 10 pounds. Canelo only went up 7 pounds, and look what happened there. It was night and day. And yeah, Chris Eubank is limited, but the size, I just don't see where's the upside here? Okay, the upside obviously is you go in there, Conor Benn goes in there and knocks out Chris Eubank Jr. That would genuinely catapult. Actually, would it? In the UK, it might catapult him for a few months, but where does it lead? It's not likely. Fair enough, yeah. If there were some big UK champions, let's say Kell Brook was still a champion, the play kind of makes sense then. Because you can say, well, YB, if he knocks out Chris Eubank Jr., then that makes the Kell Brook fight even bigger. It bursts him onto the stage, but all the belts are in the USA. Okay, you knock out Chris Eubank Jr. at 156 pounds of catchweight. Who care about that? This is a money fight. This for me is a money fight. And let's not get twisted here, people. Conor Benn has a lot of challenges in the US. I'm not talking about Furman. I think I'll bet on Conor Benn knocking out Furman. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Conor Benn right now needs to focus on the belts at 147. At 25 years old, for the next 3 to 5 years, he should focus on being serious about the sport. It could easily end up here. Conor Benn ends up getting beat by Spence, getting beat by Crawford. Eddie Hearn says that's only a year or two away anyway. Obviously, if he wins, great. You can do what you want. You can then become Canelo. And if you want to have a fun WWE fight, so be it. But at this point in your career, this reminds me almost of Kell Brook versus Triple G. Kell Brook was at the height of his career. Yeah? Absolute pinnacle of his career. Beat Sean Porter on top of the world. And he goes in there with a dude twice his size. And essentially, Kell Brook was never the same again, was he? Let's be real now, he wasn't. Yeah? He was dominating. He went out, even after the Golovkin fight, he was dominating Errol Spence, and then his face gave way. Do you understand? So it's all a bit, these kind of decisions, yeah, Eddie Hearn's no doubt behind it, pushing it. Yeah? Because Eddie Hearn, for some reason, he has some sort of weird short-term block. His bonds don't work long-term. You think, ooh, we can grab 7 mil now. What's good? 7 mil now don't mean nothing. If Conor Benn can go on to beat Spence or Crawford, what's 7 mil? We're talking 20 mil. If Conor Benn becomes that guy who's beat Spence and beat Crawford, is he going to do it? I don't think he does, but still. Or the odds say he doesn't. But at 25-year-old, who knows what he's going to do? Let's see how that plays out. For example, people like to gas Spence up here, but go and watch Spence versus Kell Brook, the first 7 rounds. My point is, who's to say Kell Brook wouldn't have beat Spence? For all we know right now, yeah, we could be sitting here and Kell Brook could be on top of the pile. If you actually go back and watch that fight. And look how much that fight with Golovkin realistically changed. Where's the upside here for Conor Benn? I get it from Chris Eubank's got nothing going on. Yeah, if Chris Eubank isn't begging Billy Joe for a rematch, he's begging Conor Benn. That's all he's got, begging random fights. He ain't serious about the game. He's serious about making money. He's serious about WWE. He ain't serious about making a real title challenge. Now, I don't know. Maybe is Conor Benn telling us at 25 all he wants to do is maximise money? Fair play to the guy. And this really will be a key for me. If Conor Benn goes for this at this point in his career, it will tell us, all the fans, he ain't serious. He doesn't really believe in himself at the top level. And he's here just to rake in cash ASAP. Because anyone who has a long-term view of their career, yeah, why go for this one now? Why fight a man 10, 15 pounds bigger than you on a whim? What for? Again, it's not like, well, YB, Chris Eubank Jr. is 37, so he's really old, so the fight's even more winnable, and he may not be here in 2 years. Listen, Chris Eubank at 32 ain't going nowhere 3 years from now. In my opinion, let Conor Benn go make a proper title run at 147. Once he's beat, then yeah, all these sort of things are there, aren't they? And if he wins, again, the whole Canelo option opens up. If you get what I'm saying. If Conor Benn spends the next 2-3 years making a genuine title run, he will either win, at which point he's a new Canelo and he can pick and choose Chris Eubank if he wants, or he loses and he's lost anyway, so why not have some fun fights for a whole bag of money? But now, my man's on a KO run. Yeah, I've been big critical of Conor Benn. Yeah, he's only KOing bums. Listen, he KOing bums. We've got heavyweights like AJ. Can't do nothing with no one. Go life and death. We've got other dudes who go in there bums. Can't do nothing. I mean, we just saw Chris Eubank Jr. in there with some dude who he put down 3 times but had no intention of going for the stoppage. So whatever we say about Conor Benn, he finishing his dinner. Yeah, and I respect that in this day and age. Yeah, we should. People say, well, we expect people to knock bums out. Tell that to Lawrence Okoli. Yeah, going 12 rounds with bums. So now it's not. I'm sorry. Historically, it should be the case, but it's not anymore. In 2022, knocking out bums has to be. You have to nod your head to that. So I nod my head to Conor Benn. He doing things, and especially when you compare a lot of the people. Yeah, Conor Benn's knocked out Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, went the distance with, and or took more rounds. So I salute that for what it's worth. That said, I mentioned earlier, if Conor Benn signs off on this, he playing. Yeah, it will show, and I do get a few signs already. Conor Benn's, yeah, he's won me over to some extent in the ring, but a few little weird cringy signs. Oh, I'm a 25-year-old millionaire. It's like, we all know that. Yeah, you popped out your dad's Johnston as a millionaire, so what's that prove? It's super cringe. I just don't get that. Everyone knows you're rich. Why do you? Oh, I got a Ferrari, and wow, yeah, your Jacob must be 20 foot long then, because you got a Ferrari. Okay, no, yeah. But like I said, someone who thinks like that, oh, I got money, even though everyone knew you got money, it tells me these guys are just fiends for more money. They don't really care about substance. That's the potential downfall on this one. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. And I gotta admit, I mean, Eddie Hearn, he can lie like anything, but I gotta admit that Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn had an interview a few days ago, and like I said, in my opinion, they will need to be awarded an Oscar if it turns out this fight is actually on, because 4 days ago, they sold it to me. Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn said there's no way this fight's even been mentioned about. So if it does end up coming off, they will have pulled off a blinder in terms of the ability to lie. Yeah? And it will also show, like I said, they're the Oscar winners for lying, but also these guys taking the piss. Bottom line. Yeah? Because how do you go? I mean, I think that's the point. This fight, Eubank's a harder fight than Keith Thurman, but it's less relevant. And where's the upside? Apart from pure cash, where is the upside? If you want to talk about legacy or that Eubank Ben legacy, the Eubank Ben legacy will be there in 2-3 years still. Yeah, someone like Chris Eubank Jr., who's in shape, is in the gym all the time, he ain't going nowhere in 3 years from now. For all we know, no word of a lie, there's been periods within Chris Eubank's career, yeah, where he's been like 2 years without fighting. For all we know, 2 years from now, Eubank may still be in the same position he's in now, having fought no one, and or fought a few bums in the middle. That's just, honestly, if I was to bet now, for the next 2-3 years, I will bet Eubank will have only fought a few bums, if not Billy Joe or something like that. I don't see him taking any half decent fights. So the point is, he ain't going nowhere. Why now? I don't get the play. I honestly don't understand the play right now. Not even a little bit do I understand it. Do Keith Thurman, do one of them middle cats, or do a few of them middle cats, like Keith Thurman, like, I don't know, the middle ones. Not the Errol Spence, not the, even Ugas. Keith Thurman, Ugas, that would be a great double to get in before the top one. That's only, I mean, really, Conor Benn, when he's knocking people out, he should be fighting 3 times a year, in my opinion. And that's a minimum. When you're knocking people out early, why aren't you fighting 3 times a year? That's an edge you can get over your competitors like Spence and all them man who fight once a blue moon. But anyway, these guys love to be prima donnas. Oh, I'll fight once every 18 months. So you do what you're doing. But either way, fight them two middle dons. Yeah, Ugas, Keith Thurman. And that's only realistically a year away. And then you're in the mix with Spence and Crawford anyway. So 18 months from now, you're either going to be the boss of the whole game, or you would have lost to Spence or Crawford or whoever is champion. And but either way, this EUBANK fight's sitting there on a plate. I don't understand at any level the big song and dance and rush for it to be done now. And that's honestly why I actually believed Hearn and Conor Benn were being honest when they said, it's all lies. Because it must be all lies. Why would you be doing this for? Unless Eddie Hearn, who is renowned to do this, is renowned for pushing dumb plays. Like I said, he pushed it with Kell Brook. God no, what? Kell Brook's the champion, on top of the world, and you throw him in there with a dude twice his size, who's a known vicious puncher. Now EUBANK isn't a known vicious puncher, but dudes who are 2 times your size are 2 times your size. Where's the upside there? Especially when he ain't going nowhere, and he's desperate. To be honest, EUBANK is desperate. He's desperate to make big money without doing much. That's why he wants Billy Joe. That's why he wants Conor Benn. Yeah, Chris Eubank's never been that guy to say, okay, I want to make a lot of money. Let me put a good grind in and push on to be a champion and then get the champion money. He ain't doing that. He's sitting back, playing the politics game. Ooh, my dad's got a good legacy. Conor Benn but the Benn EUBANK legacy is good. Let's see if I can milk some coin that way. Yeah? Ooh, I had a fight with Billy Joe Sausages 5 years ago. That's got a good narrative. Let me see if I can sit on the sideline for 2 years and get that one. That's what he's been doing. Honestly. Chris EUBANK Jr. for the last 10 years has been finding little ways to make a lot of money relative to what he's really doing. That's the truth. What's he done? The whole De Gale thing, that was a whole shtick at the time. Yeah? EUBANK versus De Gale, that had a whole little narrative to it. De Gale was shot to bits at the time, coming off a loss against Truax, I believe. Shot to pieces he was. Yeah? And your man EUBANK was straight in there, couldn't wait, licking his chops. That's EUBANK. He ain't ever going to change in that 32. If EUBANK had some shame, the shame would have already kicked in and he'd already be fighting someone seriously. But the reason I feel so passionate about this is the fact that it's only recently, for a long time I was calling Conor Benn Conor Bum. Yeah, because he was the bum slayer. He was the bum slayer. But it's only recently I thought, you know what, let me nod my head to the guy. And now he pulling these weird ass moves. And he's got, I feel anyway, he's got a real opportunity here to make a run. Don't go out like Kell Brook. Don't go out like Kell. Now I see the upside. If Conor Benn knocks out, I don't think the odds would be obviously he won't, but if Conor Benn goes up and knocks out Chris EUBANK Jr., that is huge in the UK. But then who is Chris EUBANK? He's not a world champion. He's never beat no proper world champions. So what would that really mean globally? I mean, in the UK it'll be big, but globally, who cares? No one will care. He ain't done nothing. He's not even like, fair enough. Let's say that we were talking about Golovkin now. If Conor Benn knocked out Golovkin, that would be a whole thing, wouldn't it? But EUBANK ain't Golovkin. Do you understand? So it's like, it's big in the UK, that's it. And really, it begs I'm not even sure how big it is in the UK. Knocking out EUBANK. And that's if you knock him out, the chances are you're going to go points at best. And God forbid you lose. And that's the worst thing here. I would back Conor Benn to win, but you could lose that fight. Where do you go then once you've lost against a dude who's been doing nothing? And I've got a feeling Eddie Hearn will be pushing this on the basis of, oh, don't worry, Conor, it's a win-win. If we win, we're on top of the world. If we lose, we can say the weight thing. It don't really work like that. Look at Canelo. Yeah, Canelo thought he had the whole weight excuse in the bag. The fans at the moment, or full stop, it's not working like that. When you go up and lose, it's a blemish on your whole resume. That's how it works. There's no freebies in the game. And then you look at Kell Brook, who went up there thinking he was taking a freebie and it wrote his whole career off. But now, putting that whole part to it, one side. The actual fight itself, your man the YB will be licking his chops. I'd love nothing more to watch Ben versus EUBANK in terms of hype, and the fight's intriguing in itself. But for me, it'd be a lot more strategically, managerially, from Conor Benn's point of view only. It will make a lot more sense 3 years from now, when we know how his career has gone, if you get what I'm saying. Let your career progress naturally. Think of all the big names who have done WWE fights. Mayweather, end of his career. McTapper, end of his career, let's be real now. McTapper was peaked back in 2015. McTapper, end of his career. Yeah? All these guys, the big WWE fights don't normally happen you haven't even broke onto the world stage yet. You're still knocking bums out. Seriously, how many big WWE fights have we seen a man who's 25 and ain't done nothing? It's the wrong time. And arguably, we know Eddie Hearn loves money, and we know Conor Benn loves money, but even from a money point of view, when you actually think about it, this fight will be a lot bigger, win, lose or draw, once Conor Benn has fought for a world title. And if Conor Benn wins a world title, the fight's huge, isn't it? Much bigger, because naturally his status is going to be bigger. And even if he loses, Conor Benn ends up going points with Errol Spence or whoever, or Terence Crawford or whatever, and for all we know, they may have even moved up by then, a year from now. Yeah, Conor Benn knock out Keith Thurman and knock out or fight Ugas, that's 18 months from now. Errol Spence and Crawford are highly likely to have moved up. That opens the whole division up. So Conor Benn could become world champion, and then dude pull the whole Canelo move off. I'm moving up, fighting EUBANK, coming back down, doing all that kind of stuff. That's when you do that, once your own career is sorted and settled. Not now. You don't break up this momentum. Now, if it does happen and Conor Benn pulls it off, then we can all look back and say, oh yeah, it made perfect sense, but it's the risk. And I think it's a 50-50 fight because of the size difference. That's the only reason. I think pound for pound, Conor Benn's a lot better than EUBANK, bottom line, obviously. But that weight is the great equaliser. Let's see anyway. Whether Conor Benn ends up getting finished in his career or not don't make a scrap of difference to me. But I feel you man know who follow the channel that UK boxing right now is in a very sensitive position. And we don't have, really, Conor Benn's probably the only real prospect we have in the UK. Name me another prospect. You've got Lawrence Hug Coley. I'd say he's a top prospect, but he's boring. He don't know how to take no risk. Conor Benn's the opposite of that. So like I said, the only real hot prospect we have is Conor Benn. Do I want to burn him? Do I want to risk that burning out? No, I don't, really. I want to see him actually have a proper run, a proper build-up, and give it a good go. Give him a fair chance at a world championship before any Kell Brook BS happens. Yeah, I don't want to say, Conor Benn could have been world champion, but his cranium got cracked because he fought a man 10 pound bigger than him. Now, it's unlikely. I don't think EUBANK has it in him to crack anyone's cranium, but still, it's that risk, and it's not needy risk either. And the fight will be a lot bigger, win, lose or draw. If Conor Benn's making 7 mil today for that fight, win, lose or draw against a world championship fight, I believe it's only going to be bigger. Once you fight someone like Spence, or once you fight for a world championship, it just brings that weight to it. Now Conor Benn's a raw prospect who's on the up and up. I'm sorry, but raw prospects on the up and up are never better than a dude who's fought for a world championship. And also the upside's still there, as I've explained. If Conor Benn wins the world championship, Conor Benn the world champion versus EUBANK, completely different ball game once again. And for all we know, by then, some of these governing bodies, and that's another thing, the more time that goes by from Conor Benn's point of view, the bigger naturally he's going to be. For all we know, he may be ready to move up anyway then, which again makes more sense. Let Conor Benn play out this 147 thing for three years. 3 years from now, Conor Benn ready to move up anyway. I'm sure Conor Benn before said that 147 is kind of tight for him, and is a big 147. So do the next 3 years, win a world championship or lose a world championship, and then move up to 154 anyway. And then it really is a catchweight, isn't it? Between a 154 fighter and a 160 fighter. That's what, in my opinion, is the best managerial advice. Anything else, it's a bad look. It's a bad play, it's a bad look. Now, as a greedy fan, I'd rather see it now, but I wouldn't, because of the reasons I've explained, 100%. Now, I haven't spent no time speaking about Eubank's career, because Eubank's career, he don't really have a career, does he? Yeah, when you think about all the boxing games or the sports games, when you're in career mode, no career mode looks anything like Eubank's career. Just all over, just messy. There's been no structure to anything Eubank's ever done, apart from that tournament. That's the one piece of structure he had. And he had a tournament and he lost anyway. So I ain't trying to hear about Eubank. But let's see how it plays out anyway.